What is the name of my famous person? The name of my famous person is Neil Armstrong. When and where was he born? August 5th, 1930 in Ohio. When and where was he famous? July 20th, 1969, Neil Armstrong landed and walked on the moon. How did he become famous? On July 16th, 1969, Neil Armstrong boarded Columbia with his two other crewmen, Buzz and Michael, to begin his journey. On July 20th, 1969, the Columbia entered the moon's gravity. Neil and Buzz entered the Eagle Moon landing module. The computers at NASA were controlling the landing, but Neil saw it was not a good spot to land, so he took control of the Eagle and put it on a flat surface. He then announced to NASA, "The Eagle has landed." He then stepped out of the Eagle and made the first moonwalk and said the famous phrase, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." Neil and Buzz took photographs, collected moon rocks, and planted an American flag. 3 special facts. Neil ate steak and eggs for breakfast on the mornings of July 20th, just like all astronauts do before a flight. Neil became a professor at a college in Ohio University. Neil said his famous phrase wrong. He was supposed to say, "One small step for a man," instead of "One small step for man." I picked Neil Armstrong because my grandpa picked him up when he returned from the moon. Here are his words.
Wow.
These are hard. The USS Hornet CVS-12 was designed as the recovery ship Apollo 11. I was a member of the ship's crew at that time. The USS Hornet also recovered Apollo 12, but by that time I had retired from the Navy. That's my grandpa.
Wow.
The USS Hornet was loaded with special NASA equipment required to complete the mission, and left Hawaii to be in space place for the planned July 1969, the return of Apollo 11 Command Module Columbia. When we arrived at the landing zone, a dummy capsule command module was dropped in the ocean. The USS Hornet crew practiced for a week picking up the capsule. The USS Hornet was a very big ship, and the crew needed the training to ensure that during the capsule recovery that the capsule was not damaged. On July 24th, 1969, the astronauts returned aboard the command module Columbia. They splashed down 13 miles from the USS Hornet. Helicopters were sent to pick up the astronauts, and the USS Hornet started heading in their direction to recover the capsule. Don't laugh at this. After touchdown on the USS Hornet, the astronauts and helicopters were lowered into Hangar Bay 2, where the astronauts walked on the MQF, where they would begin their 21 days of quarantine. The MQF looked like a Airstream travel trailer without wheels. President Nixon was aboarded the USS Hornet to welcome the astronauts back to Earth. There were no digital cameras in 1969. I had a camera that you would load with films. Took your pictures and sent a film to a lab for processing. A few of us shot several rolls of film and sent them to the lab for processing. The pictures were never returned. The MQF was located right below where I worked during the trip back. The Pearl Harbor, I used the ladder ship stairway to go below to my sleeping quarters. I saw the astronauts several times through the window, and they always waved when they saw me. How are Neil Armstrong and I alike? I want to be an astronaut when I grow up. The end.
Brendan.